prepared to take on the UK's most important climate change job, where next for the government's pledge to make Britain carbon neutral by 2050? This week, ministers announced that they were bringing forward their target to phase out coal by a year. Yet Cumbria County Council has just approved plans to build the country's first deep coal mine for 30 years. And they claim the mine will be carbon neutral. Our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson, has been to find out what that really means.
Hague Pit, the last one in Cumbria to shut down. It became a museum. Now, the museum has gone.
The William Pit at Whitehaven, Cumberland, runs out a long way under the sea.
For a coastline and community littered with the scars and ghosts of lost industry, a new coal mine promising 500 direct jobs and 2,000 more connected, well, it's a lifeline.
It'll give a lot of these ex-mines work as well. I know there's quite a few would like to go back down.
I think it's a great thing.
Great thing?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Local employment. It'll give people jobs. Just great stuff, I think.
Climate emergency? Worried about emissions? Anything like that? Burning the coal? End of the world?
Well, if you look into it and you read what they're saying, they're talking about like carbon neutral and that type of thing. But so, from what they're saying, it doesn't sound too bad in that respect.
A global first, a carbon neutral coal mine. That's what Cumbria's been told. We'll come back to that. Elected for a second term, the local independent mayor is a passionate advocate for West Cumbria and for the new mine.
And that mine opening up in one of the poorest wards in the whole of the UK is transformational for people. You know, it's giving people life opportunities. The mine will have a very, very positive impact on this area. It'll have an absolute minimal impact in terms of making the climate situation worse.
And this is just how badly West Cumbria needs jobs. Behind that fence is the office where the technical people are working on the spec for the new mine. And on the fence here, a notice which, in the nicest possible way, says to people, please stop coming here and asking for a job. Send your CV to the company headquarters.
The pit will be here on the site of an old chemical works. The mine company refuses either to be interviewed or answer our questions. But the county council unanimously supports the mine and makes a claim for it, the like of which the world has never seen. Cumbria County Council states the mine will be, quote, broadly carbon neutral. So we crossed Cumbria to Lancaster University to try and find out what a broadly carbon neutral coal mine could be.
Well, it's an interesting concept. It's pretty well impossible to think of it. I mean, you could make the case, arguably, for carbon neutrality in the extraction of the coal itself, but the planning application makes a big play of the extraction process and the transport emissions from the coal.
So long as you don't set fire to the coal.
Yeah, the big deal is the setting fire to the coal. That's where the problem is, and that's the bit that's glossed over.
Cumbria County Council say they're refusing all interviews because the mine is under judicial review. The Judicial Office told us this does not prevent them commenting. So, we called Geoffrey Cook, Planning Committee Chairman, who said, I've nothing to say about this project. When we went to his house, he refused to come to the door. Council leader Stuart Young didn't return our calls in person. The County Council, silent. The mining company, silent. So could the mayor make any sense of this carbon neutral claim?
Cumbria, the Cumbrian people, Cumbrian voters have been told explicitly this is a carbon neutral coal mine. Now you know and I know there is no such thing as a carbon neutral coal mine.
Well, it's not a claim I've made personally. You know, what I'm... You know,
What, do you agree with it?
I agree with the coal mine going ahead, and I think, you know...
No, do you agree with it being carbon neutral? I mean, this is a crucial point.
Well, I agree with the county working towards a carbon neutral status.
What do you believe? Are you telling voters here that it is carbon neutral?
What I can say is that I've never seen that stated anywhere, and I've certainly never seen it stated by West Cumbria Mining, who I've dealt with on
it's in council papers,
on a regular basis.
They put it in writing.
Cumbria County Council, well, you know, you need to ask them. You'd say that statement. It's the first time I ever heard it, actually.
The mine owners and council argue that sending Cumbrian coal to UK steel plants is greener than transporting US or Australian coal to our blast furnaces. They say, if the coking coal from Whitehaven proved more competitive because it's located closer to steel manufacturing plants of the UK, then mining operations elsewhere would be very likely to reduce their output by a similar level of production. So does mining Cumbrian coal really mean American or Australian or any foreign coal stays in the ground?
The basic economic premise that the coal from Cumbria will substitute for coal from other sources is simply wrong.
Why?
Because when a supply of a commodity increases, especially if it is going into a market at a cheaper rate than the supply of a similar commodity, what happens is that either demand stays the same, in which case the overall price of the commodity will fall, so steel would become cheaper. And of course, if steel becomes cheaper, then the demand for steel will increase. So the basic economic assumption behind the Council's stated decision that the demand for steel is constant is simply unfounded.
Steel industry sources told Channel 4 News, don't rely on us, Cumbria. Foreign coal may be better for our furnaces. Moreover, we're getting out of coal as fast as possible because of the climate emergency.
Almost all of European steel manufacturing, it has targets now to be zero carbon by 2050, which will be zero carbon by 2050, which will be only halfway through the lifetime of this mine, making it a complete white elephant.
So Cumbria stands as a national test case. How do we take the hard decisions to get to carbon neutral by 2050?
Current policymakers are putting jobs for the present generation before the absolutely basic, vital interests of future generations everywhere. Because if we don't get a grip on climate change, we can be sure that the future for those future generations is much less rosy than it might be. It's particularly disappointing in the UK, one of the richest countries in the world, a country that is already very near to full employment, that we feel that an extra 500 jobs is worth sending this kind of message around the world in the year that we're hosting the COP26. It's a massive hypocrisy.
Is it? Well, the government's hosting the vital COP26 climate summit in November. The same government supports a new coal mine here and yet bans investment in foreign coal.
The British government will no longer provide any new direct official development assistance, investment, export credit or trade promotion for thermal coal mining or coal power plants overseas.
Hypocrisy? The government's hosting the most important conference of our lives, attacking foreign coal, defending domestic coal. Boris Johnson's parliamentary private secretary is a newly elected MP and supporter of the mine.
Right now, right here, the common sense approach is to reduce the carbon emissions as much as we can, and we can do that through transportation reduction. We can do that through world-class mining equipment, and we can do that through the measures that the government is putting in place to reduce the carbon footprint without damaging the economy.
It is Cumbria now, somewhere else soon. The UK's big dilemma. Who wins when the decisions on carbon get hard? The current working generation or the world we bequeath to our children and grandchildren? Alex Thompson, Channel 4 News, West Cumbria.
Now, a jury has been told that